Hi friends, welcome to Top Scholar, the smart learning app. Today we are here to discuss some of the previous year asked question from the chapter Social Health, Maharashtra Board 10th. So to better prepare you for your board examinations. Now before we move on, let's discuss the marking scheme and how the marks are segregated for this chapter. As you can see here that we have 1 mark, 2 mark, 3 mark and 5 mark questions asked in this chapter. Now in 2019 to 2023, if you see that at least one question worth of 1 mark was asked. So total we have 5 questions here carrying total 5 marks. For 2 marks, we have one question asked in 2021. So that would carry 2 marks. Now for 3 marks, we have one question in 2019, 2 in 2020, 1 in 21. So total we have 4 questions, but it carries 12 marks. Now for 5 marks question, we have 1 in 22 and 1 in 23. So we have 2 questions worth of 10 marks, right? Now if you look at it in a graphical representation form, you can see that we have had at least 2 questions from this chapter every year, and the maximum number of questions that is asked is of 3 marks. And in 2020, we have had only 3 marks and 1 mark question. 1 mark question is asked every year. So expect 1 mark question in this examination as well. Now let's look at some of the questions and let's try to answer these questions correctly. Now first is a very short answer type question carrying 1 mark. Now this looks like a very interesting question, like your crossword puzzle. Fill in the boxes with the help of the given clue. Continuous consumption of alcohol and tobacco material leads to what? So we have these boxes here. We have clue A and O given here. So what would come here? Let's try to solve it. Is it going to be? Is that right? So we have solved it in this way. Now let's move on to the next question. Again in 2019, playing games on mobile while eating is right or wrong? Justify. Interesting. Now B is, what do you conclude from the following picture? So we have a picture given here. Looks like a drug abuse that is happening, and there is a no smoking sign as well. So what do you conclude from this picture? And this is a question worth of 3 marks. Okay, and we will try to answer this later. Now here again we have another diagram, another picture given. Observe the following picture and state what can be the outcome. Again a 3 marks question asked in 2019, right? So here if you can see, this person is standing in the middle of the road and clicking a selfie, and he is unaware of a car coming. That is going to lead to a disaster if he doesn't realize that, right? So from this picture, at least this much is very, very clear. So we can observe this picture and we can clearly tell what is the probable outcome. Now let's move on to the next question, next year as well. So in 2020, we have one question of 1 mark. State whether true or false. Tobacco containing substance cannot cause cancer or of the mouth and lungs. The smokers might tell otherwise, but you know that this is false, right? Tobacco is very well known for having carcinogenic substances which can cause cancer of mouth and lung, right? Now next is again from 2020, there are 2 3 marks questions, right? Both are short answer type questions. First question here is, explain 4 ways to minimize stress. And the third question here, the next question is, what will you do? Why? The child of your neighbor is addicted to tobacco chewing. Your friend has developed the hobby of snapping selfies. Your sister has become incommunicative. She prefers to remain alone. So these are 3 scenarios that is given to you. In these scenarios, first of all, what are you going to do about it and why would you do this? What is the logic behind it? So these are the 3 scenarios given to you, and you need to keep yourself in that scenarios and do the right thing there. So a child of your neighbor is addicted to tobacco chewing. Is that the right thing in your opinion? Of course not. So being a responsible citizen, you need to do something about it. And so what will you do and why would you do that? Your friend has developed the hobby of snapping selfies. So that person would stand anywhere on the road and try to take selfies. It can risk his life if he is standing in the middle of the road and taking selfies unaware of the traffic there. Correct? That we also saw in the picture previously in the year 2019. Your sister has become incommunicative. She prefers to live alone. If she is staying alone in the room all day, she is not talking to anyone, is that a right thing? No, of course not. That can harm her mental state in future, right? So this also here we need to take care of that. You need to be responsible as a brother and you need to do something about it, right? So we will try to discuss and answer the right way how you can go about this question. Now we move on to the year 21. It is an MCQ type question carrying 1 mark. Dash helps to improve concentration in studies. Your options are A. Meditation, B. Music, C. Dance, D. Laughing. So everyone has a different way, but it is known that meditation actually helps to improve concentration and focus in general. So if you are a student, you are studying, meditation is something that you need to bring in your daily routine so that you can improve your concentrations in study. So here the answer is A. Meditation. Now second, give scientific reason. Girls face stress due to gender inequality. So this is a very common social problem. Still there is a stigma about the gender female, and she, anywhere she goes, in offices, schools, colleges, she faces inequality. So in this case you need to answer with a scientific reason that what is the cause of the stress due to gender inequalities. So what are the scenarios that they face because of this gender equality that is prevailing in the society and why it is affecting girls so much, right? Now next is, again we have a question here in 2021 which is a similar kind of question which we discussed earlier. This is carrying 3 marks as well. Here we have certain scenarios. In these, again you need to put yourself in that scenario and answer what will you do, what is the right thing to do at that place. So first is, your younger brother is addicted to smoking. Second, your maid's husband beats her after getting addicted to alcohol. C, your younger brother is playing a game on his mobile phone while eating. So all these things are some or the other way harmful for that person, and you know these people. So one is your younger brother, one is your house help, and the other one is your younger brother again. So he is doing a lot of mischiefs, lot of wrong things. So in that case, what is that you need to do? What is your responsibility in this particular scenario? So we will also discuss this in later slides. Now let's move on to the year 22. Here again, identify the picture and name it. So what is going on? What is happening here? People are raising their hands and laughing. Is that a laughing club maybe? So it's also a very short answer type question, 1 mark. This is a laughing club for relieving their stress, right? Now next question again in 22, what will you do? So again we have a bunch of scenarios where you need to do the right thing. You need to understand what is happening and if it is right for the individual, what is the long-term effect that they are going to face, and what can you do right now to avoid such outcomes. So it is a 5 marks question. So this scenario based question is now asked in 5 marks question. So the first scenario is, you are spending more time on the internet. Now this is not about someone who is related to you. This is about your own self. So self check is needed here. The child of your neighbor is addicted to tobacco chewing. So earlier it was your younger brother, right now it's your neighbor's child. Your sister has become incommunicative. You have to use free space around your home for good purposes. So now this is a very creative form of scenario where you have free space and you want to utilize it for something good. What can you do? Your brother studying in 12th has developed stress. That can happen to a lot of people now. We cannot ignore that part, that people under certain circumstances, especially people in this competitive era, can develop stress when they have to face any difficult situation like giving examinations, and that too 12th standard board examination, right? So there again, what will you do to help him out? Now let's see in the year 2023 what questions we have here. Here we have first question, which is a short answer question, very short answer question, 1 marks. State whether the following statement is true or false. To take selfies on the road is an invitation to an accident. Is that true or false? Of course it is true, right? So if you are taking selfie, you are unaware of what traffic is coming, what vehicle is passing. So you are actually inviting an accident if you are not careful. Solve the following crossword. So now this is the crossword. The first question that we today discussed was this only, right? So the first clue that was given was for addiction. So we had already filled it. Now surrounding that we have more boxes. We have 5 more such boxes. Now we have to fill these boxes as well, giving from the clues that are given. So let's see the clues. First is the continuous consumption of alcoholic and tobacco material. So that was already filled. It was addiction. This app may cause cyber crimes. A remedy to solve stress. Requirement for stress-free life. Various factors affect dash health. Art of preparing food item. Again, you can take a screenshot of it, and I'll also move to the previous slide. You can try to solve that question on your own, and then we will discuss it later and you can check if you are correct or not. So here is the question. You can again note it down and then you can try to solve this. Now let's move on to the solution for this question. So this was asked in 2019. Playing games on mobile while eating is right or wrong? Justify. So there you can see a picture of a person, of a boy who is eating but he is also on his phone. Second, what do you conclude from the following picture? You have 2 pictures here. This looks like a drug abuse. Someone is smoking, someone is drinking, and one person is injecting some drug in his veins, and there is this no smoking sign. So what do you conclude from this picture? And then the next part, another picture here is of a person taking selfie in the middle of the road. So observe the following picture and state what can be the outcome of this. Now let's move on to the solution of it. So for A, playing games on mobile while eating is obviously wrong as it affects the digestion of food. Because of lack of concentration on eating, there is lesser secretion of digestive juices. So watching anything on your phone while eating can cause indigestion as well. The picture signifies the ban on addiction caused due to drugs, alcohol and cigarettes. Consuming these things leads to adverse effects on one's health. Hence, one should refrain from their uses. So, the second picture which we saw, that there are certain people who are doing drug abuses, there is a sign of no smoking there. So, we can conclude that this is an awareness poster for ban on addiction caused due to drugs, alcohols and cigarettes, right? As it can lead to addiction and severe health consequences. Now, the C image was, it is shown that a boy is carelessly indulged in taking selfies, so much so that he doesn't realize a vehicle is approaching. This event may lead to an accident causing a crash between the selfie taking boy and the car, which would be dangerous and could be life-threatening as well, right? So, this of course is the outcome of carelessly taking selfies in the middle of the road. Now let's move on to the next question. What will you do? So this is the 5 marks question that we were talking about, which has different scenarios, and you need to decide if it is right and wrong and how will you approach these scenarios to avoid any harmful consequences. A, you are spending more time on the internet. B, the child of your neighbor is addicted to tobacco chewing. C, your sister has become incommunicative. D, you have to use free space around your home for good purposes. And E, your brother studying in 12th has developed stress. So let's see what can be done in these scenarios. What is the correct way to answer these questions? So first, it is you yourself who is spending most time in internet. So here we need a self-realization. So a self-realization is a must in such cases. Further, I would try to limit my screen time by diverting my attention to other productive activities like playing outdoor games, cooking, hanging out with friends, etc. So instead of spending most time on the internet, again, if you are spending so much time on internet, you would be doing other things as well, like while eating, you would be watching something on the phone, you'll be using phone quite a lot. So if you are spending too much time on the internet, that is actually taking away a lot of your productive time where you can do a lot of other activities, right? So self-realization is the key here. Now the second scenario where if your neighbor's child is addicted to tobacco, so what will you do at that time? If I find out that my neighbor's child is addicted to tobacco chewing, then making his parents aware is the very first step so that they can keep a continuous watch on their child. I would take further on my level, I would try to make him aware of the ill effect of tobacco chewing by showing him related videos, images and articles. So making that person aware about the harmful consequences is the best thing that you can do. So if that person is intelligent enough, like all human beings are, they will understand that what he might go through if he continues to be on that path. So that will scare him by looking at the videos and images and articles that shows the harmful consequences, will scare him, and so he can stop doing those things. He can stop chewing tobaccos to not get into that consequences. Now, I would try to find out the reason for my sister to become incommunicative, right? So now in this case, your sister is not talking to people, she spends most time alone. So first of all, you need to find out what happened, after which professional help must be taken. So there are many psychological counselors and there are many doctors who are professional at understanding the reason why suddenly a person goes uncommunicative, and they can help her properly. On my part, I will insist she talks to her friends, teachers and family members, as being incommunicative and preferring loneliness is not a healthy social behavior, right? So you need to perceive a little more than you usually do. You need to force her or make her talk to other people in a calmer way, more welcoming way, make her feel very comfortable so that she gets out of that phase. Okay. Next is, plenty of things could be done with the free space around my house, like kitchen gardening, plantation of ornamental and medicinal plants, play games, taking classes for needful students. So if you have an empty space, it can be utilized in many creative ways. You can do kitchen gardening, you can plant ornamentals and medicinal plants, you can do some games, you can take up any hobbies and make that space dedicated for that purpose only. And then you can also taking class for needful student. You can help the needful students by teaching them in that particular space. What is the last scenario? So if your brother who is in 12th standard has developed stress for his examination, what can you do? Developing stress for an examination is common for students, but it should be dealt with a positive and encouraging attitude. I would talk to my brother and try to figure out a strategy that best suits him to tackle the cause of stress. I will motivate him and try to divert the negative thoughts. Also, indulging some time to pursue his favorite hobbies will have a good effect on his behavior. So again, reinforcing positive behavior will be the correct way to go about dealing with such kind of scenarios. Now, let's move on to the next question, the crossword puzzle, right? So I hope you have tried to solve this on your own from the clues given, and now let's see the solution to it. Okay, so the first one, the continuous consumption of alcoholic and tobacco material, it is already given. It is addiction. Now for the second one, this is the second one. This app may cause cyber crimes. What app can you think of? Can we write? Now a remedy to solve stress. So this is the third column. What is the remedy to solve stress? What have you written? Now the fourth question, requirement for stress-free life. Various factors affect dash health. 6. Art of preparing food items. Right. So let's try to solve this here. Okay. So remedy to solve stress. Drawing. Then what is it for? There is bonding. 5 is social. And 6 is cooking. Okay, so this is how we solved our crossword puzzle. Now let's take a look at how it is going to solve those issues and why have we filled these in the crossword puzzle, right? So let's see the solution to it. So addiction is the continuous consumption of alcohol, tobacco and drugs which adversely affects the health of the individual. Second, Facebook. This app may cause cyber crimes like people creating fake identity may talk to someone in the pretense of being someone else, right? Now the third one, drawing. It is a remedy to lower the stress levels. 4. Bonding. The bonds of relationship that we have with our families, friends and teachers are the basic requirement for a stress-free life, correct? Now the fifth one was social health is affected by various factors. Cooking is the art of preparing various food items. So I hope you enjoyed filling this crossword puzzle and the session overall. We have tried to solve some of the trickiest questions here. If you have any more questions that you'd like us to solve, do write us on the comment section and we will try to get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you and all the best for your preparations.